I just wanted to take a really quick unboxing look at the Asvine P30 because I plan on inking it and using it for a little bit before I continue with this video. So I wanted to just briefly show it to you uninked. Comes with the fairly extensive instructions for the use of converter, use of ink cartridge, piston filling, and then for other pens, dropper filling, vacuum filling, and maintaining your fountain pen and sales and service, in case you don't have an Asvine yet. And here's the pen. So I wanted to show this to you with a uninked and clear piston barrel reservoir. And I'll discuss this this finish as the video goes on. But the cap is finished, as is the clip, the piston knob at the bottom, and the piston itself inside the barrel. So I'm really looking forward to inking this up. It has a large capacity, as you can see. Okay, so let's take a look at Asvine's latest and third model. But before we do that, I just want to talk about the name once again. When I listen to all the pen reviewers, probably 75% of them say Asvine as opposed to Asvine. And you'll find below a link to my video talking about how to pronounce the company name from the horse's mouth, which is Asvine. And there's sort of a little clue if you take a look at the box. See, that's like the continuation of a vine. But I think they may be giving up because this is the last box that I received from Asvine, and they've now substituted a fountain pen nib at the end. So maybe they're throwing in the towel for how the name is pronounced. But if you want to know, it is Asvine, not Asvine. Guess it doesn't really matter if they feel okay about changing it. If they have, who am I to argue? So anyway, the three models introduced by Asvine are very different. Here was the first one, the overlay. Let me change the focus. Okay. This was the V169, which was a vac filler. And I really thought I'd worked out focusing numbers on this. Let me try one more time. Okay, that's quite close up. So here you go for the vac filler 169, and since I still have a little bit of ink in here, I'm not going to demonstrate the use of the vac filling mechanism, but again, I did that in an earlier video. Next up was the all acrylic P30. This is the Blue Ocean version that I have here. Came in 4 different acrylics, and it has that nice ink window there, and this still also has quite a bit of ink in it. And we come to their third model, and that is the P30, also piston, hence the P, in the name. This has kind of an aged retro, some people refer to it as brass finish, and it's the entire cap, clip, piston knob, piston filler with inside the barrel, as well as the section itself. So they really made terrific use of this aged or antiqued brass look in the P30. And I love the way the ink sloshes in this. This is, what is this? This is Pelican Violet ink. So you also have, this is a steel nib, of course, with the Asvine name and M for medium. And I'm not sure personally that was the best choice, the silver nib. Let me show you the overlay, the V169, and kind of a rose gold colored nib, which I think would look quite a bit better matched with the antique brass. That's a personal choice though. And the P20 had more of a gold nib as opposed to the rose gold. And we get the P30 there too. So those are the 3 color variations that they've used in the first 3 models. And again, I would prefer the gold colored nib for this pen. But it's not earth-shaking that it doesn't have it. Let me just cap these. And I'm going to try changing focus again. Actually, before I do that, let me just get some more close-ups of the P30. A very Asvine, very clear company name on the clip, whereas the P20 has the Greek key motif, but you don't know who manufactures it until you take off the cap and actually look at the nib. So the model number here on the P30 is on the rear of the cap band, but again, You don't have that with the P20. And the 169, you have the V169. You do have Asvine on the front. You don't have the model number mentioned, however. So they went for quite a different look with the cursive on the V169 and kind of a very bold font on the P30. And this will post. However, it's posting right on the piston knob. So there is a danger of posting this pen. Let's see if I can get this without changing the focus. So, and it's also fairly back heavy because of the weight of the cap. And I can do some weight measurements in a moment. Whereas the P20, when posted, posts deeper, quite a bit deeper, than the piston knob. So if you're someone who likes to post your pens, there's no danger there of accidentally turning the piston knob by manipulating the cap when posted. As I've probably said in every video I've ever made, I'm not really one who tends to post caps, so it's not an issue for me, but something to be aware of. I have this actually no-name little brass pen from China that I got recently, and this I do post just because of its size, although it's usable even unposted, but it posts deeply and looks kind of neat when posted. And I think you can guess who they're trying to copy here. The funny thing was that the nib says Genius and medium. I haven't seen the Genius imprinted nib in about 20 years. When I first started importing Chinese pens about a quarter century ago, Genius was one of the brands that I carried, and they had a number of pens, and all their nibs said Genius on them. But they also had a lotus flower on their nib and on the top of their caps, and sort of a white-colored lotus flower. And Mont Blanc did not like that. And even though they're in China, they went after them. And subsequently, the white lotus blossom on the top of the Genius brand caps were no more. And shortly thereafter, as far as I know, Genius went out of business. So I was very surprised 20 years later to see a nibbed marked Genius. I guess there are probably hundreds of thousands of those still circulating around. So I am just being lazy and trying to keep the entire pen in view without changing the focus again, but I'm probably going to have to do that. Manipulating this camera has not been, this phone has not been the easiest thing in the world. Okay, there we go. So, once again, the three models, that Asvine has come out with. All very impressive. And I saw one pen reviewer just the other day list his top 5 or 8 or 10 pens of the year. And he, not too surprisingly to me, chose this as his #1 pen of the year. The V169. Now, this came in a number of different acrylic colors underneath either the gold overlay, such as I have, or a silver overlay. The P30, as I mentioned, came in and comes in 4 different acrylics. This is the ocean blue. There's another blue and a green, and don't recall the 4th one offhand. But the P30, as far as I know, will only come in this retro antiqued brass finish. So let me pause things. Okay, this stand came with its own little remote control. This new, because if you remember my last video with my exploding phone camera tripod exploding all over, and the choice words that I had for that experience. Let's see if this works. And no. Okay. I'm going to press the little button on the camera. Okay, for this perhaps last scene, I'm going to use the flying camera approach, one-handed, as I manipulate these 3 pens, and I guess have to do the proverbial, well, it's not really proverbial, the usual writing sample. I have no idea what this paper is. I've had it for many years. It has an imprint of lightning on it. Maybe it goes that way. No idea. And doing this sans tripod. And I've been using this pen for about a week. And I'm getting kind of tired of saying that Asvine pens and really all the Chinese pens I've gotten in the last year or two have super smooth nibs, because that's just been my total experience. They've really up-leveled the entire creation of their nibs, and they're the equal, in my experience, of any nibs from the West now, and that was not the case for decades. So I'm really happy with that advancement. So this is an M, like the other 2 Asvine pens I just showed you, and very, very smooth. I have to keep repeating it. Please please me. I don't know why that Beatles snippet of a lyric came to mind, except that the Chinese nibs do please me now, and I wish that had always been the case. So this is very awkward as usual, doing it with holding it in one hand, the phone, trying to write without the paper moving all over the place. So I'm going to finish this video travesty. See if I can do one more. No, can't. The paper keeps moving. Well, this was highly instructive of superior handwriting and printing. But Asvine once again has produced a really, really terrific pen. Oh, one thing I should have mentioned, which I didn't, is that this antique finish is very reminiscent of the Moon Man, now Mahjong T1 from several years ago, their brass pen. And in fact, I've found that the rear section, the piston mechanism, is really identical, indicating that they're using the same source for producing that Asvine and Moonman. Now the Moonman T1 brass, which I don't possess, so can't show you side by side, is a very differently shaped pen, in the sense it's squared off and it's, I believe, faceted hexagonally, not rounded at all, like this pen is, and the cap is squared off as well, whereas this is totally, this is rounded. So there are definite differences, but the commonality is the antiqued or retro brass material finish. The piston mechanism is apparently identical, and the other commonality is this large clear section in the barrel, so you can see the ink slosh back and forth, which is the most important thing of all. So, as it is now almost 2 in the morning, and I am beginning to ramble even more than usual, I will bring this brief overview of the Asvine P30 to a close. That's the Asvine version, and this is the Asvine version. Take care.